yoga?
No, okay. Friend of
Okay.
mine had back surgery there with Dr. Young, and it went very well. He was very pleased.
Oh, good. Good.
First time he's been able to stand up straight in 6 months.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm at 7 months, so I really can't wait.
Yeah, good. Well, I hope it exceeds your expectations.
Mm.
Have you been having to work
Well,
from
I've got
home?
the same old issue of not being able to get on the internet from City Guest.
I got
So-
right on, Bill.
Well, I know, it says
Oh.
go to internet and it doesn't do anything. So you say go to City
Did you go to
PS,
Connections?
City PSK.
Yeah, that one should work. Guest isn't.
And I may need a password. No, I'm in. All right, thank you.
What did you go to?
City PSK.
Huh.
No, it's not. Oh. Showing with the number. So yeah, yeah, okay. Feel it.
Forgot what you did last time. Kill it. Oh, it's way this one. Then it is, and James went back to the office, I guess.
Yep, so like it. Right, can I be heard? Okay,
6:30.
all right, well, Al is joining us, right about now.
There's Cameron.
And
Hi,
then-
sorry I'm late. I got two different invitations. One was for Microsoft Teams and one was for this, and I went to Teams first, so don't know why I had two on two different systems, but here I am.
We're just starting. We haven't started officially.
Yep. So, Mr. Pola, are you there?
I'm here. For some reason, my camera is on, but I'm not showing. So I can certainly see everybody else and I can hear everybody else.
Okay, we will have to do without your lovely countenance for the time being. So it is 6:36. I'd like to call to order the July meeting of the Charlottesville Police Civilian Oversight Board. Are there any announcements for the good of the organization? Okay, give me a second here. Now is my screen that showing up? Oh, it's coming on this teeny tiny. No idea why that is.
Stretching, using the bubbles.
Let's see what we got. Then that,
Use the text.
and then you use the text.
Bill, in the lower right of the screen,
Oh, yeah.
it's at 10%.
See the sliding
Oh,
bubble.
you're good.
He's our tech consultant. Something like, there we go.
Well, screwed that one up. Yeah, we're getting there. All of this to try and get a list of our
Upcoming.
upcoming events.
There's three, right, Bill?
Okay, well, I can
Almost there.
I can read them to you. We have three upcoming events. The first one is Jahamba African American Arts Festival, which is 2.5 Saturdays away. It is at Washington Park. It officially runs from 10:30 to 7:30. It's not clear, you know, how long we'll be able to support a presence there. The next after that, next Saturday is West Haven Community Day, which I thought was a very successful event last year. It's on the following Saturday from 9 to 2 at West Haven Recreational Center. And finally, the police, Charlottesville Police National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6th in the evening. It'll probably be a little cooler. Last year, the chief and several other dignitaries from the police department went into the dunk tank numerous times. And it was very, very easy. So just so you know. Now, is there any comment or amendment to the agenda from the group? If there is none, I will declare the agenda accepted unanimously. And the next item of business is the approval of minutes. Does anyone have any amendments or comments on the minutes as provided by the executive director? None here. None here. All right. With the hearing no objections and with the thanks to the executive director, that is passed unanimously. Now it's a pleasant duty, as you know, over the last couple of months, the board and Inez have been searching for a management analyst to help Inez out in her work on the board and to keep her company in that big empty office up there. So it's my duty to introduce James. It's my honor to introduce James Walker. And you have anything to say for yourself, James? You're muted.
Yeah, I was just making sure we don't do feedback on our end. Hello, everyone. My name is James Walker. I worked about a year in digital marketing, but before that, I did 10 years in education in Prince Edward County, so about an hour south of here. And in that time, I had a lot of experience not only working with students, but technology and data and systems for the school division. So in that sense, I bring a lot of background and experience from the data side, and I'm looking forward to being a part of this team.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks.
And as I said, unlike the last time this job was advertised, the problem was that there were too many very qualified candidates, and I think Mr. Walker really, even so, stood out, and we're very glad to have it. Okay. So a lot of, the board is very much like a duck. We go along smoothly on the surface, and then a lot of stuff happens under the surface as people, particularly Inez, paddle like hell. The first thing I would like to mention is the memorandum of understanding, which has been issued by the city manager, which governs the executive director's role in monitoring internal affairs investigations. And let's see. Okay. All right, looks like it has come up on the screen. It's a pretty basic document. One of the first things I'd like to call your attention to is that it is strictly limited to procedures related to the interviews of department personnel in internal investigations. So it's silent on procedures for the executive director to partake in interviews on her own accord as part of interviews. So, but I would still regard this as a very important first step, and I'm, you know, compliment all involved for moving forward. The basic provisions are that the OPS commander will make sure that the director is notified immediately of all external complaints. The director will also be notified when a interview with an officer is being scheduled so that she can attend. There is a purposely blank page there. And the idea is that the director is allowed to, as I think implements an important aspect of what's in the ordinance, to be able to monitor the interview either from a separate room or within the same room. And the director will also be allowed to provide feedback. And the director will also be allowed to suggest follow-up questions. And the other, I think, important aspect of this is that the investigator, it is up to the investigator's discretion as to whether any of the director's requests will be asked. So it's not a shall, it's a may. As I understand it, these things are working out fairly well. Inez, do you have any other comments on the MOU? You're muted there, sorry.
Yeah, apologies, it took a minute. Yeah, not necessarily, you pretty much covered it. It's self-explanatory.
All right. Okay, this is building very quickly. And the next issue, which is occupied a fair amount of my time over the last week or so, is the issue of compelled statements. And Inez can tell us what a compelled statement is.
Compelled statement is what it sounds like. It is when the employer exercises their ability to compel a employee, specifically a public employee, to answer questions during an administrative investigation under the condition that if they fail to do so, they can be either disciplined severely or terminated. This is important because once an employee is compelled by their respective employer to provide a statement, the guarantee rights attach.
And if they, the guarantee right against self-incrimination, how does that work?
It's the Fifth Amendment that protects a police officer against self-incrimination. So, two distinctly different things. So, in the instance of guarantee, the understanding when exercising guarantee is that any statement or evidence that comes as a result of the administrative process will not be used in a criminal trial against the officer.
And who gives guarantee warning?
If I could add to that further, Garrity holds that because it can't be used against you, you are not at liberty to refuse to answer the question of the government employer without consequences.
That's correct. Guarantee also does not protect you if you lie during the administrative investigative process.
Right.
Who gives guarantee warnings?
That would be the employer.
They don't always give them.
Well, whether or not guarantee applies and whether or not an employer is obligated to give guarantee varies from state to state. Much in the same way that police departments or the nation in general can't have national standards as it pertains to police and how they do what they do, or even their training for that matter. There is no national standard for Garrity. It varies from state to state.
Yeah, but I mean, and its application may vary, but also, I mean, like I know from personal experience and investigations in the federal government, Garrity is somewhere in like employee manuals or office manuals, but when an investigation starts in a federal office, they do not sit down and give a Garrity warning the way
Correct.
you give a Miranda warning in a criminal investigation. They just start
It-
asking.
Correct. But again, it only attaches if they're compelled under condition of discipline or threat of termination. And again, not every agency is going to adopt the use of the written format where they're
That's-
providing it to them. That's the option of the employer, whether they do or they don't. It does not change, however, that Garrity will attach whether those rights are written form or not, or whether
That's right.
they're actually advised of them or not. They'll attach regardless, as long as it's a public employee setting.
Yeah, I just want for everybody to understand who's not familiar with it, that it's not like there's
Mhm.
always a warning, because there's not.
And in the case of police oversight, in specifically, has it been customary for oversight organizations to be empowered to give Garrity warnings?
I can't answer that. That varies from state to state and organization to organization as well. It matters which model, oversight model the entity is using. It matters what state that the entity, the oversight entity or agency is located. For example, in the state of Chicago, you have COPA, and COPA has 100% the same powers that does the Internal Affairs Division. They can order officers to come in, they can engage in investigations from start to finish, but that isn't the case in every single solitary situation.
Yeah, and my impression, I'm trying not to speak off the top of my head too much. My impression is that in the state of Virginia, the idea of an oversight of anyone other than the police chief or designee giving a Garrity warning is not widely accepted or practiced.
I can't say that with any certainty. I don't know if that's true.
So
the only oversight model in the state of Virginia that has the model that we have, actually, we are the only model that has the hybrid version. So it matters the type of oversight model that they're practicing.
I'm going to show you all a quote from our ordinance. And this is what our ordinance says. And it's very clear. It seems to be very clear. And it is, on the other hand, distinctly different from what our operating procedures aspire to. And our operating procedures aspire to a situation in which officers are basically required to cooperate with internal affairs investigations as if they were with PCOB investigations as if they were internal affairs. This is problematic because the authors of these two documents, which included myself, were not aware of the subtleties of compelled statement law. And because of that, I've been engaged in a dialogue with representatives from the city attorney's office to try and get them to refine their understanding of what the powers of the board are, what the powers of the executive director are with regard to compelled statements. At that point, right now, the discussion is going on very productively, but I have been told that given that this decision will be so important, not only for this board, but for boards in the rest of the state, that it may take time for the city attorney to actually come up with a final decision. So, any questions about this? So this is, you know, my own feeling, you know, this is where the rubber hits the road because if our executive director has no power to interview officers under Garrity, then will be extraordinarily hard to do comprehensive investigations as envisioned by the hybrid model that we wished to implement when the ordinance was written. So I'll keep you posted as developments occur.
Yep.
Okay. Any other? No more questions or comments.
I did have a question. So Bill, going back to that MOU, what's highlighted, is that what we're proposing and we're hoping will be approved?
No, that's approved.
Okay,
Has been signed by our executive director and by the chief of police.
okay,
So that is now in effect. And so the requirements that she be notified of hearings and be given an opportunity to be present is in effect.
okay.
And the kicker, the difficulty is that it is clearly written to limit the scope only to internal affairs investigations. And getting the okay for us to conduct independent investigations that involve interviews of subject officers will be an uphill climb. And we're continuing to do that as best we can. So if there are no other comments from the board members, it's time for comments from the public. Is there any questions from anyone here? No. Anyone online? Okay, well, this has been a short meeting. Thank you all for coming on a beautiful summer day. Next meeting is on the 12th of August. Please make sure that you have those public outreach opportunities on your calendars. You know, it's you got to set up and you got to take down and you got to sit there and answer questions. And but it's a very good opportunity for the board to be seen. It's a very good opportunity for people on the board to get acquainted with folks in various communities who could be disproportionately affected by policing. So,
Mr. Chair, I propose that if I could just add that I found the events last year incredibly successful in putting ourselves out there, and the number of people that came to our table who didn't know who we were or what we were was very high. So it's an opportunity to increase our visibility, which I think still it needs to be worked on. And as you said, establish some rapport with fellow citizens. So it's not just a toss off. It's a really important part of our outreach.
and as a practical matter, how long we stay at each of these events, it really depends on who shows up. If there are only a couple of people and it's an 8-hour event, and it's 99 degrees, we may choose to leave early. Just for your information, we know that there's hard work setting up, so people can come at the time, at the hour before the time that these events begin. That will be most useful.
With regard to the August meeting, just for clarification, I think you mentioned August 12th, and I have it on my calendar as Thursday, August 8th, just to confirm for the record.
Let me see. Yes, you're right. I was thinking of September.
Thanks, Cameron.
And just as another miscellaneous announcement. The director of the Human Resources Department and the Human Resources expert on collective bargaining has agreed to come and speak with us at our September meeting, September 12th, about the impacts of collective bargaining on how the city is run, and particularly how it might affect the PCOB. So that it's going to be a very important meeting. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Pola, yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, hearing no objections, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.